The threat comes at 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in Providence Municipal Court, and it comes loud enough that everyone in the building hears it. You want to send me to jail? You? Marcus the Hammer. William, 6'5", 275 pounds of former NFL linebacker, three-time Pro Bowl selection, Super Bowl champion, slams both fists on the defendant's table so hard the microphone jumps. His voice booms through the courtroom like he's calling plays at Gillette Stadium. You're a joke. This court is a joke. You think I'm scared of you, old man? Judge Frank Caprio sits perfectly still, doesn't flinch, doesn't blink. 78 years old, 5'7", 150 pounds soaking wet, wearing the same black robe he's worn for 43 years. He simply looks at this mountain of muscle and rage standing 10 feet away and waits. The bailiff's hand moves to his belt. The court reporter's fingers freeze. In the gallery, a woman holding a 6-year-old girl pulls her daughter closer, shielding her eyes from the anger radiating off this man who looks like he could tear the room apart with his bare hands. Marcus points at Judge Caprio, finger extended like a weapon. I made $32 million playing football. $32 million. I've got lawyers who cost more per hour than you make in a week. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to dismiss these bullshit charges. I'm going to walk out that door and you're going to forget you ever saw me, because if you don't, he leans forward, voice dropping to something colder than a shout, something that sounds like a promise. I will make your life very, very difficult. 5 seconds of silence. 10. 15. Then Judge Frank Caprio does something nobody expects. He picks up his reading glasses, puts them on, opens the case file in front of him, and speaks in the quietest voice imaginable. Mr. Williams, sit down. I'm not... Sit. Down. Something in those two words, not the volume, not the anger, but the absolute certainty, makes Marcus Williams pause, makes him hesitate, makes him, for the first time in years, do what he's told. He sits. But the rage is still there, coiled in his shoulders, visible in his clenched jaw, ready to explode again. Now, Judge Caprio says, let me tell you a story about what happened 23 days ago, and I want you to listen. Because what you do after I finish talking is going to determine whether you walk out of here a free man or in handcuffs. Your choice. Providence, Rhode Island, 20 minutes earlier. The courtroom is filling with the usual Tuesday crowd, a nurse fighting a parking ticket, a delivery driver who ran a stop sign, a single mother whose taillight was out and she couldn't afford to fix it immediately. These people sit quietly, respectfully, waiting their turn. They're nervous. Courts make people nervous, even when they've done nothing seriously wrong, but they're here. They showed up. They'll take their medicine. At 9:27 a.m., the back doors open and Marcus Williams enters like he's walking onto a field. He's wearing a custom Tom Ford suit that probably costs $8,000, Gucci loafers, a Rolex Presidential that catches every light in the room. His head is freshly shaved. His beard is trimmed to geometric perfection. He looks like money. He looks like power. He looks like someone who has never heard the word no and wouldn't recognize it if he did. Behind him walks his attorney, Bernard Rothstein, senior partner at one of Boston's most prestigious firms, the kind of lawyer who defends celebrities, politicians, people who absolutely cannot afford to be convicted of anything. Rothstein's suit probably costs more than most people in this courtroom make in a month. His briefcase is Hermes. His cufflinks are platinum. He nods to the clerk like they're old friends, which they're not. But he wants everyone to know he belongs here, that he's done this 1,000 times, that this is just another Tuesday for him. Marcus doesn't acknowledge anyone. Doesn't look at the gallery, doesn't look at the clerk, doesn't look at Judge Caprio when he enters. He just sits at the defendant's table, pulls out his phone, and starts scrolling. His body language screams one message: I don't want to be here. This is beneath me. Let's get this over with. Judge Caprio calls 3 cases before Marcus's. Each time he's patient, kind, genuinely interested in the person standing in front of him. The nurse with the parking ticket? She was parked illegally because she was running into the hospital for a 12-hour shift and the employee lot was full. Dismissed. The delivery driver? He ran the stop sign at 5 a.m. when streets were empty, been driving 15 years without a single violation. Fine, reduced to $15. The single mother. Taillight fixed now, can't afford the $75 fine on top of the $40 repair. Pay $20. Case closed. This is how Judge Caprio operates, with humanity, with understanding, with the recognition that most people in his courtroom aren't criminals. They're just people trying to get by, and sometimes they make mistakes, and sometimes life is hard, and justice should account for that. Marcus Williams watches none of this. He's on his phone the entire time, scrolling, occasionally typing, once taking a call that his attorney has to physically reach over and in for him, whispering urgently that you can't take calls in court. Case number 2024 CR 09156. The clerk announces, the state of Rhode Island versus Marcus Dwayne Williams. Charges include driving under the influence, reckless endangerment, leaving the scene of an accident with injuries, and assault on a police officer. Marcus finally looks up, sets his phone down, stands. And that's when everyone in the courtroom realizes just how big he is, how physically imposing, how he doesn't just stand, he looms. The wooden floor creaks under his weight. He buttons his suit jacket with movements that somehow look aggressive. Judge Caprio looks at him over his reading glasses. Mr. Williams, good morning. Marcus doesn't respond, just stares. Mr. Williams, do you understand the charges against you? I understand this is a waste of my time. Attorney Rothstein stands quickly. Your Honor, my client means... I know what I mean, Marcus interrupts. I mean, I shouldn't be here. I mean, this is harassment. I mean, I want these charges dropped so I can get back to my life. Judge Caprio nods slowly. I see. Mr. Rothstein, does your client understand that driving under the influence is a criminal offense in Rhode Island? That leaving the scene of an accident with injuries is a felony? That assaulting a police officer carries mandatory jail time? Your Honor, we dispute the characterization of... I don't dispute anything. Marcus cuts in again. I dispute this entire proceeding. You want to know what happened? I had a couple drinks at a charity event. A charity event where I was raising money for kids. Then I drove home. Some idiot pulled out in front of me. I swerved, hit a mailbox, kept going because I had somewhere to be. Then your cops pulled me over and got aggressive, and I defended myself. That's it. That's the whole story. So unless you're planning to charge me with being successful and black in Rhode Island, we're done here. The courtroom goes dead silent. You can hear the heating system hum. Someone in the gallery coughs and it sounds like thunder. Judge Caprio removes his glasses, folds them, sets them down with that same soft click that always seems to change the temperature of the room. Mr. Williams, I'm going to give you one chance. One. To sit down, be quiet, and let me read the evidence in this case. And then, when I'm finished, if you still want to threaten me, if you still want to tell me what a joke I am, you'll have your opportunity. But right now, you're going to listen. Marcus opens his mouth. Rothstein grabs his arm, whispers something urgent. Marcus shakes him off. Or what? You'll hold me in contempt? Go ahead. I'll pay the fine. I'll have you removed from this courtroom in handcuffs and we'll proceed in your absence. Your choice. Sit down and listen, or leave in cuffs and be found guilty by default. 5 seconds to decide. 1, 2, 3, 4. Marcus sits. But the rage is nuclear. Everyone can feel it. Judge Caprio opens the case file. October 12th, 2024. Saturday evening. 7:37 p.m. You attended a charity gala at the Renaissance Hotel in downtown Providence. The event ended at 9:15 p.m. You left at 9:38. The valet noted in his report that you were unsteady on your feet, that you fumbled your keys, that he offered to call you a car service. You declined. You told him. And this is recorded on his phone because he filmed it after you drove away, concerned about what might happen. You told him, "I drive better drunk than most people drive sober." Is any of this incorrect so far? Marcus says nothing. His jaw is clenched so tight you can see the muscles working. You drove a 2023 Range Rover, black Rhode Island vanity plates reading Hammer. You proceeded south on Westminster Street. At 9:51 p.m., a traffic camera captured you running a red light at the intersection of Westminster and Dorrance. Speed estimated at 67 miles per hour. The speed limit there is 25. At 9:53 p.m., you turned onto Benevolent Street in the College Hill neighborhood, a residential street. 20 miles per hour limit. You were traveling approximately 55. He pauses, looks up. Marcus is staring at the table now, not at the judge, not at anyone. At 9:54 p.m., you struck a parked Honda Civic, sending it into a fire hydrant. The impact was hard enough to deploy your airbags, hard enough to shatter the rear window of the Civic, hard enough that residents 3 houses away heard it and came running, and hard enough that the 7-year-old boy who was getting his backpack out of that Civic's back seat because his mother had just parked and they were heading inside their house was thrown 6 feet and landed on the concrete sidewalk. The woman in the gallery, the one holding the 6-year-old girl, gasps, stands up. Judge Caprio sees her, nods, and she understands that her moment will come. That boy's name is Tyler Chen. He's 7 years old, 2nd grade. He loves dinosaurs and Legos and his dog named Biscuit. The impact fractured his left arm in 2 places, gave him a concussion, and left him with 42 stitches across his forehead and scalp. His mother, Jennifer Chen, ran outside to find her son unconscious on the sidewalk, bleeding from his head, his arm bent at an angle that arms aren't supposed to bend. She's a nurse at Rhode Island Hospital. She knows what head injuries look like. She thought her son was dead. Marcus's hands are gripping the edge of the table now, his knuckles white, but he still says nothing. Tyler woke up 3 hours later in the ICU. He couldn't remember his mother's name, couldn't remember where he lived, couldn't remember Biscuit. The doctors called it traumatic brain injury with post-concussion amnesia. He spent 4 days in the hospital. He still can't go to school because loud noises give him migraines. He has nightmares every night. He's 7 years old and he's terrified of cars now. Won't get in one. Screams when his mother tries. They live 6 blocks from his school and she has to carry him there because he won't go near the street. Judge Caprio closes the file, opens another one. This one is thinner. Just a few pages. Your Range Rover. You didn't stop. Your airbags deployed. Your windshield cracked. Your front bumper was destroyed. But you reversed, drove around the Civic, and continued down the street. 6 witnesses saw you do it. 3 of them filmed it. We have video of you driving away from a 7-year-old boy lying unconscious in the street. You drove 2 more blocks before a Providence police cruiser spotted you, smoke coming from your hood, driving on a flat tire, swerving across lanes. Officer Maria Santos attempted to pull you over. You didn't stop. You led her on a chase for 7 blocks before finally pulling over in a parking lot. When Officer Santos approached your vehicle, you exited, unsteady, eyes bloodshot, breath smelling of alcohol according to her report. She asked for your license and registration. You told her, "Do you know who I am?" She said yes. She knew who you were? You told her, "Then you know I don't have to answer to you." She attempted to administer a field sobriety test. You refused. She attempted to place you under arrest. You pushed her hard. She went down, hit the ground, sprained her wrist. Her body camera captured all of it. He sets down the second file, picks up his glasses, puts them back on, looks at Marcus Williams. Your blood alcohol content, measured at the hospital an hour later after you were forcibly restrained by 3 officers, was .19. More than twice the legal limit. The hospital also found cocaine in your system. Not a lot, but enough. You spent that night in a cell. You called your lawyer. You posted bail the next morning. And you've spent the last 3 weeks telling anyone who will listen that you're the victim here, that the police targeted you, that the media is biased, that this is all overblown. Is that about right? Marcus finally looks up, and that's when it happens. That's when he says the words that will make tomorrow's headlines. That's when he loses whatever was left of his self-control. You're goddamn right, that's what happened. You think I'm going to let some small-town judge ruin my life over an accident? Over some kid who shouldn't have been standing in the street? I'm Marcus Williams. I'm the Hammer. I've broken Hall of Fame quarterbacks. You think I'm scared of you? And then the threat. The one that started this whole scene. The one about making Judge Caprio's life difficult. After the threat hangs in the air for those 15 seconds, after Marcus sits back down still vibrating with rage, Judge Caprio does something unexpected. He stands up, walks around from behind the bench, stands in the open space between the bench and the defendant's table. An old man, 5'7", looking up at a man who towers over him. Mr. Williams, he says quietly, I want you to turn around and look at the woman in the second row, the one holding the little girl. Marcus doesn't move. Turn around, please. Something in the please makes Marcus turn. He sees Jennifer Chin, sees her daughter, Tyler's little sister Emma, 6 years old, sees that Jennifer is crying silently, tears running down her face, while Emma holds her hand and asks, "Why is Mommy sad?" That's Tyler's mother and sister. Judge Caprio says, they're here because they wanted to see you. Because for 3 weeks they've watched you on TV talking about how this was just an accident, how you're the victim, how the media is treating you unfairly, and they wanted to be here when you finally had to face what you did. He walks over to the gallery, extends his hand to Jennifer Chin. She takes it, stands, picks up Emma, and walks forward. She stands 10 feet from Marcus Williams, this nurse, this mother, this woman whose son can't remember his own dog's name because of what this man did. Ms. Chin, Judge Caprio says gently, would you like to say anything to Mr. Williams? Jennifer Chin looks at Marcus, really looks at him. And when she speaks, her voice is steady, not angry, not screaming, just steady, which somehow makes it worse. My son doesn't sleep anymore. He has nightmares about a big black car crushing him. He wakes up screaming 4 times a night. Every night. I have to sleep in his room now. Hold him when he cries. Tell him he's safe. Even though I don't know if I believe it anymore. Even though I parked in front of my own house and you almost killed him. She pauses, wipes her eyes. Emma is watching Marcus with wide eyes, not understanding why this giant man is making her mommy cry. You didn't stop. That's what I can't get past. You hit my baby and you drove away. You didn't check if he was okay. You didn't call for help. You just left him there. Like he was nothing. Like his life didn't matter. Because you had somewhere to be. Because you're Marcus Williams. Because you're important. Marcus's face has changed. The rage is still there, but something else is creeping in underneath it. Something that might be shame, might be guilt, might just be the first crack in a foundation that's been crumbling for years. Tyler asks about you sometimes. Jennifer continues. He saw you on TV, saw you doing interviews. He asked me, "Is that the man who hurt me?" And I said yes. And you know what he asked next? He asked, did I do something wrong? Is that why he hurt me? My 7-year-old son thinks he did something wrong, thinks he deserved to be hit by a car and left in the street, because he was standing near his own car in front of his own house. She stops, takes a breath. When she speaks again, her voice breaks. I'm a nurse. I save lives. That's my job. That's what I do. And I couldn't save my own son because you were too drunk to drive and too selfish to stop. Silence. 30 seconds. 40. You can hear people breathing. Someone in the gallery is crying. Judge Caprio walks back to the bench, sits down, folds his hands. Mr. Williams, you made $32 million playing football. You won a Super Bowl. You were one of the best at what you did. Millions of kids wore your jersey, looked up to you, wanted to be like you. And now you're standing in my courtroom facing felony charges because you got drunk and high, drove like the law doesn't apply to you, almost killed a child, and then threatened a judge when called to account for it. He pauses, lets that sink in. I've been doing this job for 43 years. I've seen a lot of defendants. I've seen people who made terrible mistakes and owned them. I've seen people who were genuinely sorry. I've seen people who changed. And I've seen people like you. People who think their money or their fame or their size makes them special, makes them exempt, makes them untouchable. Marcus is staring at the table again. But this time, he's not angry. This time, he looks small somehow, despite being twice the size of anyone in the room. Here's what's going to happen, Judge Caprio says. I'm going to give you a choice, not because you deserve it, but because Tyler Chin deserves better than watching his attacker go to prison and learn nothing. Here's your choice. You can accept responsibility, plead guilty to all charges, submit to sentencing, or you can maintain that you're the victim here, that this is all unfair, and we'll go to trial. And if we go to trial, Mr. Williams, I promise you, every piece of evidence, every video, every witness, that body camera footage of you pushing Officer Santos, those videos of you driving away from Tyler Chin's unconscious body, all of it will be public, and you'll be convicted. And you'll go to prison for the maximum sentence allowed under Rhode Island law. That's 7 years. 7 years in a cell thinking about the $32 million you can't spend. He leans forward. Or you can stand up right now and tell Jennifer Chen the truth. Tell her you were drunk. Tell her you were high. Tell her you almost killed her son. Tell her you ran because you were scared and selfish. Tell her you're sorry, really sorry. And then accept the consequences. 1 minute of silence. 2. Marcus Williams stands. Slowly. His hands are shaking. This man who broke Hall of Fame quarterbacks. This man who was never afraid of anything on a football field. His hands are shaking. He turns, looks at Jennifer Chen, opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. He tries again. I was drunk, he says. His voice cracks on the word. I was high. I shouldn't have been driving. I hit your son, and I knew it. I felt it. And I drove away because I was scared. Because I didn't want to lose everything. Because I'm a coward. He stops. His shoulders start shaking. This enormous man, crying, actually crying. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I think about it every day, every night. I see his face. I see him lying there. And I drove away. I left him. I almost killed him. And I left him. And I'm so sorry. He breaks, completely breaks, sinks to his knees, puts his face in his hands, and the sound that comes out of him is something beyond words. It's the sound of a man who finally understands what he's become. Jennifer Chen doesn't move for a long time. Then slowly, she walks over, stands in front of this broken man kneeling on the courtroom floor, and she says 5 words. My son is still alive. That's all. That's all she gives him. Not forgiveness, but acknowledgement. That it could have been worse. That Tyler is still here, still breathing, still learning to remember his dog's name again. Judge Caprio waits. Lets the moment exist. Then he speaks. Marcus Williams, stand up. Marcus stands. His face is wet. His perfect suit is wrinkled. His attorney is staring at the floor. You're going to plead guilty to all charges. You're going to serve 18 months in the Adult Correctional Institute. Not because I want to destroy you, but because Tyler Chin has to live with what you did for the rest of his life. And you need to understand that choices have consequences. When you get out, you're going to perform 2,000 hours of community service speaking to high school students about the dangers of drunk driving. You're going to establish a fund, the Tyler Chin Recovery Fund, with an initial donation of $5 million to help families dealing with the aftermath of drunk driving accidents. And you're going to stay sober. Because if you're arrested for DUI again, I'll personally make sure you serve the maximum sentence. Do you understand? Marcus nods. Can barely speak. Yes, Your Honor. And one more thing. When you get out, you're going to meet Tyler Chin. Not because he wants to meet you, but because you need to see what you did. You need to see him, to know him, to understand that he's not just a news story or a statistic. He's a 7-year-old boy who loves dinosaurs and Legos and his dog Biscuit, and you almost took all of that away. The gavel comes down. 18 months later, Marcus Williams walks out of the ACI. He's lost 40 pounds. His head is still shaved, but there's gray in his beard now. He looks older, looks different. He kept a journal while inside, wrote letters to Tyler Chin that he never sent because Jennifer Chin didn't want to receive them. He went to AA meetings in prison. He talked to other inmates about their crimes, their regrets, their fears of getting out and falling back into who they were before. The Tyler Chin Recovery Fund has helped 62 families. Marcus speaks at high schools twice a week, shows the videos from that night, shows himself, drunk, high, angry, pushing a police officer, shows Tyler Chin's hospital photos with Jennifer's permission, tells his story, doesn't sugarcoat it, doesn't make himself the hero, just tells the truth. And once a month, he meets with Jennifer Chin and Tyler at a park, not to apologize again. She's heard that enough, just to see them, to remember, to make sure he never forgets what almost happened and what he chose to do after. Tyler still has nightmares sometimes, still gets migraines, but he's back in school. He remembers Biscuit now, remembers his mother's name. He's learning to be a kid again. And Marcus Williams is learning to be a human being again. If this story moved you, if you believe that accountability matters more than fame, share it. Because justice isn't about destroying people. It's about making sure they understand the weight of what they've done. And sometimes, the strongest man in the room is the one brave enough to break.